Hey Sunrise, Andrew here with your small group questions for this week as we dive into Genesis chapter 22. So we are back in the book of Genesis, and so we are picking up with the Isaac story. So now we begin this transition where we're going to begin to focus on the transition towards Isaac. And so we do that as we bring Abraham's story to a conclusion. And so this becomes that intersection of their two stories. And so within this story, what is it about chapter 22 that's so important to the whole biblical narrative? So as you work through this, there are several key things that come to mind as we look at it. So one, what do we see of Abraham's immediate reaction to the word of the Lord? So the Lord calls him. He responds, "Here am I." So again, that quick response here. And then he gives him this call to sacrifice Isaac. What do you make of Abraham's response? What does that teach us about Abraham now compared to where we've seen Abraham come from? So how have we seen him develop in his faith along this journey? Especially in light of what we just saw with Ishmael. So how these two texts begin to connect. Why is it so important that we see them together? Because many years have passed, so that's key as we get this is years later. So into this, we have the idea of the third day that Abraham journeys. And so we see this take place over time. And then we really lean into verse 8 for a bit that I want us to spend some time on, thinking about the response to Abraham to Isaac. So Isaac asks where the sacrifice will come from as they go to worship. And Abraham replies, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering. Why is this verse so important? What do we learn about God in this verse? What do we learn about Abraham through this? And so what are we to make of the faith of Abraham through that statement? Is he lying to Isaac? Is he just lying so that Isaac won't know? Or is he speaking about something deeper that can be revealed? So again, continue to work through this. We see the beauty of that moment. Then we see Abraham willfully going to sacrifice Isaac. And then the angel of the Lord speaks and withholds his hand. And through that we see the Lord provide. And then in the end we have the fact that Abraham calls the place. Again, we've seen naming of places throughout the book. Here's another one. The Lord will provide. How is this a testament to the end of Abraham's life? How does this bring to a close his journey? Because for the most part, this is the end of his narratives. And how does that set forth for us what is to come in the journey of Isaac and ultimately Israel and into the future? And then lastly, we see the end of with the giving of the generations of Abraham's brother Nahor and his many children as we begin to see this transition to the Isaac narrative. So those are some basic ones as you work through the text. Also some things to think about. How does this point us to Christ? There's some huge Christ illustrations in this text. Obviously, how are we encouraged by the truth of those illustrations in this text as we look forward? So I hope that you'll spend some time really working through Genesis 22. Again, as we hear it proclaimed on Sunday. And again, working through it in our small groups and in your own personal studies. We're going to pick up the pace here over the next coming weeks, looking at chapter by chapter. Unpacking the big narrative of what is to unfold over the next few weeks in Genesis. Hope that you'll spend some time in the Word and see you guys on Sunday as we study it together.